Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Brendan Lee. In this video, I want to talk to you about a forum topic, or somebody wrote in on the forum and they want to know about thinking. How can you think clearly? What is thinking? And how do I have an ability to create and perhaps create new thoughts? This is me paraphrasing. Okay, great. Welcome back. So this comes in on the forum. Thanks for writing in on the forum. Hello, forum. I suspect that I don't know how to think. Interesting. Which is to say, my ability to create a thought isn't developed. How thinking is held in our culture is an act based on hearsay, opinions, reactions, and assumptions, usually from others. This activity doesn't seem to be based on true understanding or creativity, but rather on adopted stuff. In my view, internal dialogue isn't true thinking either. What is thinking? How can genuine thinking be developed? What is clarity? How can you think clearly? Thank you. All right, cool. Hey, thanks for writing in. I'll put my 2 cents in on this, see where it goes. You're saying that your ability to create a thought isn't developed. I don't know exactly what you mean, but I would say that's probably false because you've created many thoughts in order to formulate this post. So it's not your ability to create thoughts. It sounds like you might have an idea about perhaps what right thinking is, or maybe what creative thinking is, or there's like certain types of thinking, and one type of thinking is better than another type of thinking, and like some thinking that you should be doing, perhaps. I'm hearing maybe some idealing in there, or some, like creating an ideal about your own thinking, that it should be some way perhaps better than it is. I don't know. This might be worth considering as a possibility. That's my first blush here. Because how thinking is held in our culture is as an act based on hearsay, opinions, reactions, and assumptions, usually from others. This activity doesn't seem to be based on true understanding or creativity, but rather on adopted stuff. Yeah, it does seem like, for example, the thoughts that I am thinking right now arise within, large parts, the language that I speak, the culture that I'm in, what I've learned from others, what I've learned from my parents, and there's like a collective, I don't know what you'd call that, like a shared, there's a lot of stuff that's shared between human beings. There's much that's shared between humans on a base level, like that's cross-cultural as far as I can tell. Then there's stuff that's particular to the culture that I'm in, say like, American culture or whatever, and that is shared usually by the vast majority of Americans. We'd share that. And then there's like particular family dynamics that is like, oh, this is my particular family. And then there's stuff that like I do, and yes, it does seem to be very influenced, or at least already within the structure that is, or has been given, or is already shared. So yes. Now, I think it's useful to consider here for your approach to open up and consider, well, what is thinking? And look at it for yourself. Now, it seems like you are doing that. You're also engaged in the forum. This is great. This is all good. And I'm trying to help further your action for you to consider, like, all right, well, what is, like, open up. What is thinking? Yes. Can you have a thought that's from a pre-made structure? Yes, you can. Culture. Well, where does culture exist if not in our thinking? Social and language. Where does that exist? You see? It's like a particular kind of thought. It is like social or language. You have a backlog. Now you can also consider domains of thought that don't show up like thought. What we normally have as thought, as far as I can tell, is something that you notice in your head, and it's like an object somewhere in your head, like an image or the number 2 or a concept, you see? And then we usually hold concepts as things that are located. And if you look at it, I can find neither a thing nor a location. So then that opens it up to, well, where is it a thought and what is it? And that can also push us in a direction. Yeah, what's the deal with that? These things that aren't things and aren't located, but I really think they are in here somewhere. But if those things were actually like things, like objects, they wouldn't fit. How do you fit an elephant in there? It's got to be really small. All right? So there's that. Now, I've also noticed domains of thought that don't show up at all, but are still known. For example, if you are hiking to the top of the mountain, while you're hiking, you know why you're hiking. You know about this getting to the top of the mountain, and that knowing does not show up like a visualization or a concept somewhere. It's just, I know the top of the mountain. It's like a knowing as if like a pre-thought thought or a pre-felt thought. It's like you just know that's where you're going. And you don't need to think about it. It's just known. And it's like super base level. This is another domain that I'm calling a domain of thinking that doesn't show up like normal thinking. So that's another place you can take a look for this. And just check it out. Now there's this is stretching the bounds of perhaps thinking here, and I don't know how this fits into our consideration, and there's domains of mind that are faster than like thinking as if, or faster than intellectual thought, like what I'd run into in a fighting domain, where I can make decisions, I can calculate distances, I can understand, I can know what's going on really fast, but like way faster than it would take me to think through a process of, oh, I know he's leaning down to his left, he's getting ready to throw his left hand at me. By the time I can think that through, I could be hit like 4 or 5 times. But in this other domain, this as if felt domain, it's like a type of knowledge that is known through feeling senses. I can understand all that immediately. As soon as I see it, I feel it. And that is a domain of mind. Now, I don't know if we can call this thinking for our consideration, but it's a domain of mind that is extremely fast, extremely smart, and does not need to rely on thinking. So I don't know if we call that a thought or not. And that can be extremely creative. Now, I'm not saying this is like the answer to your creativity query, but it can be extremely creative, extremely quick, and no thought, and yet still be very, very smart. And this is another domain that you can look into. All right? Now, in terms of creativity, there are other things that can occur, and I would call these like insights or breakthroughs that, like there's a quote by somebody, and I can't remember who it is, unfortunately, but they're saying something about an insight they had, and it's like, and then I had the happiest thought I've ever had in my life. Which is to say, probably they had an insight, something happened, and then that insight as if hit their mind, and their mind was like, holy shit. Wow, I am amazed. I am blown away. I am ecstatic. I am happy. That is amazing. Look at this now I can think in these new ways. Now I can think in areas I never thought possible. Oh, it's totally opened me up, you see? And then so these new thoughts, I would say, perhaps are aligned with your query here, like how do I have creative thinking that isn't based on culture or a preset structure? I would say, hey, go have some insights, have some breakthroughs, have some enlightenment, have some direct consciousness. And now, as far as I can tell, the breakthroughs and the insights and the direct consciousness are not themselves thought, at least not in the conventional sense, and definitely direct consciousness is not a thought. It's a consciousness that occurs. You can become directly conscious. And then that will as if hit your mind right about the same time that it happens. And then what your mind does with that is perhaps in the domain of thinking and feeling and new thought and new creative ideas and directions and things you can do and build and create or whatever. But the insight themselves, or the breakthrough itself, I don't know exactly what that is. I know what to call it. I've had many insights and many breakthroughs. You see. And so perhaps for creativity, that is a domain you could look into, is having insights, breakthroughs. And again, here we use a lot of contemplation for that, wondering about things, wanting to know things, really go to the place in your experience where you don't know what something is, and keep your attention focused there and intend to grasp if there's more. Like, what else is there? What's going on there? What's really true about that? And open up. And that is a direction that you can move that could be called thinking. But if we call that thinking, it's a very different form of thinking. Like contemplative thought, perhaps, or contemplation, where the goal and the intention, the direction is for you to have a breakthrough. It's the type of thought that leads to a breakthrough, and it is not based on culture. It stretches the bounds of perception even. It's not even because you might be looking into the truth of some matter that you can't even perceive or know in the conventional sense, and yet still apprehend its nature and still have insights about it. All right? So we could call that thinking also. All right? So that's what I have. Let's see how we're doing. All right, doing good. So what is thinking? Hey, take a look. Discover. Work on it. Contemplate it. Figure it out. Don't think about it. Get it. How can genuine thinking be developed? Again, be careful with genuine. I don't know what you mean, so it might be useful to clarify that for yourself. What do you mean by genuine? Like, what is that for you? And then reference what I just said in the video. I think there's some useful information there, some things for you to try out in terms of shaking things up for you. What is clarity? How can you think clearly? Well, again, at this point, I am turning you back on to your own question. You tell me what clarity is. Clarity has a lot to do with being clear. And how can you think clearly? Coming from this kind of work, I'll just give you the straight up, hey, train it. Notice if your thinking is unclear and then clear it up. There's no real way to do that except for, one, you could call yourself on it. So align yourself with thinking clearly and then go, okay, is my thinking clear? So now every place you find your thinking isn't clear, clear it up. Do it. It's kind of like when people come here and they ask Peter or something like that, and they're like, well, how do I relax? And Peter will say, do it, relax. How do I fight and relax? Do it. Go ahead, right now, go. See, and that usually short circuits them, and they don't usually like that answer because they want something else other than, no, it's just if you want it, go do it. You can do it. You have my permission, go ahead right away. Think clearly, work on it. Kind of like for myself, in certain areas, like if I'm learning writing, for example, I could notice somebody could tell me, hey, your writing's not powerful. Okay, and then how do I make my writing powerful? Well, practice powerful writing. Notice, review the writing. Have a written word or write something down. Then take a look and then ask yourself, is that powerful? I don't know. Could it be more powerful? I think it could. I'll take this out, I'll change this word, I'll put this punctuation. That's more powerful, that's more straight, that's more clear. Same with your thinking. You could have a thought and then go, was that very clear? I don't think so. Then, how could I make it more clear? What would be a more clear thought? How could I clarify my thinking? How could I make it clear? Ask yourself these questions and then try it again, do it again. And continue. All right? So there you go. Thanks very much for writing in. Much love. Take care. I'm Brendan Lee with thebrendonlee.com. Go ahead and check the links in the description. If you want to get serious, come here. We do workshops. Check those out. Hit me up. Send me a comment. Write me an email. Again, please, thank you. Please, thank you. Please, thank you. Thank you and please. Thanks for writing into the forum. Please continue to write me in the forum. It helps me create content for you and also helps me further my own work. Take care. Much love. Till next time. Ciao for now.